Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, my name's Vicky Marie. I am based in Spain, in Europe, and I talk about true crime. And we've been following this case of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old lady plucked from her bed in the middle of the night 3 weeks ago now. Yesterday was the 3 week anniversary, if you can call it that, of this horrible event. And we're not really getting anywhere, are we? We don't feel like this case is going anywhere. So we've got this clash of, well, I say a clash of egos. I think there's only one ego involved. Sheriff Nanos. So this has happened in Tucson, in Arizona, in America. And the sheriff of Pima County, Sheriff Nanos, he is the one that seems to be making a complete cock up of this investigation. So I'm sure all the deputies are working really hard. I think they're all trying so hard. But this guy is not inspiring us with confidence, is he? Good morning, Tracy. Hello, you're up bright and early today. Things I can only use updates early, before my day starts in the week. So that's why I'm up early and doing this. But anyway, so yeah, it's a complete. Well, it just doesn't feel like it's getting anywhere. Now, 100% certain there will be things going on behind the scenes we don't know about that hopefully are maybe leading to some progress in this case. But the other thing that we're hearing is there is this, the FBI apparently want to take over this case. But the person who's pushing back against that is none other than Sheriff Nanos, who won't let them. Why won't he let them? I just don't understand it. But he's got a grudge against the FBI, we have to remember, because the FBI investigated him a few years ago about embezzlement of funds or something to do with financial matters in the sheriff's department. So he doesn't like the FBI. He wants to be the one to sort of solve this case. He's sending DNA evidence off to a different lab and just generally making cock-ups, really. Anyway, in this video, what we're going to look at what did happen over the weekend, which there's been no break in the case, but some things did happen over the weekend. We're going to look at, this rumour that the FBI is desperate to take over, but Sheriff Nanos is not letting them. What else are we going to look at? Yeah, we're going to look at what happened with the private search parties over the weekend, and that led to some items being found, but also some conflict with the neighbours. We're going to look at the first guy that was detained, because there have been 2 SWAT raids and people have been detained and questioned. And the first guy, Carlos, who was detained for hours, apparently handcuffed, questioned, had his phone taken off him that he still hasn't got back. His house broken into by the SWAT team, searched presumably. We're going to hear from his lawyer what he's got to say about it. I mean, that definitely needs to be clear, really, because the sheriff has not done a press conference now for over 2 weeks. So we're going to look at his second. Yesterday we looked at the first press conference that Sheriff Nanos ever did, and we gave him a bit of a bye then, because he'd obviously he'd been up all night and you could see he was tired. Now we're going to look at the second press conference that he had plenty of time to organise. The FBI attended, and you still see that he's actually looks completely unprepared. You just feel like he doesn't seem to have understood that the whole world's eyes are on him. I don't know. And if he can't cope with it and he can't deal with it, he should pass it on to the FBI. If he wants to go to his basketball games, and not be bothered. He's got the FBI there waiting to help. Why doesn't he let them help? Anyway, I don't understand. Maybe you can tell me why. I don't know. Maybe you think Sheriff Nanos is brilliant. So there are the odd one, and I mean the odd one. No, but nobody even from his own, the people that work for him, from his own team, nobody's come out in support of him and said, "Oh no, Sheriff Nanos is doing a brilliant job. Leave him alone." That's just not happened, has it? So that tells you something. So I think we're going to start off. So over the weekend, these private searchers went out, the Madres Buscadoras, the searching mothers, other volunteers were out there searching, despite the fact the Pima Sheriff's Department released a tweet saying, don't go out and search. They did go out and search, and they found items, which is interesting, really, because of course, these items might have appeared there after the event, because there have been searches done by the police department. But a rucksack was found, and the police apparently went along and bagged that up and took it off. It wasn't the same rucksack make as the one that was seen on the CCTV. More gloves. These gloves, oh my God, I just imagine Tucson is littered with rubber gloves, with plastic gloves that people are just discarding all over the place. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons why people might use gloves to do things. They're not all nefarious, are they? But it just seems like every 5 minutes there's a glove being found. Have they got glove trees in Tucson or something? Glove bushes, and the thing is, they all really need to be tested, because you can't just think, oh, that's another glove, it's not relevant. You don't know if it's relevant or not, do you? Because, of course, the intruder who broke into Nancy's in the middle of the night was wearing gloves, maybe even double gloves. They made a big effort not to leave their DNA there. It's quite interesting. And of course, we still don't have any motive for this. We don't know why somebody would do this to Nancy. All those strange ransom notes that never came to anything, I think they're probably just wackadoodles, as JLR calls them. There doesn't seem to be any weight placed on those ransom notes, because there's just been loads of them as well. God, it's ransom notes and gloves are abundant in this case, aren't they? That's one thing that's definitely abundant. So yeah, the searchers did find different items, and it's great that they went out there and they made an effort for Nancy, but it did lead to some conflicts. We're going to look at that as well, because of course the neighbours are a bit peed off, and I do understand it. I mean, now they've sealed off that road, so it's only a one-way road. There's still, of course, at the weekend there was people there just going to have a look. The media's there, the social media's there, the streamers are there, and it must be irritating if you live in that area to see all that going on. But I think what you have to remember is it's not their fault. Nancy has gone missing, and people are trying to help one way or another. I mean, yeah, there's some people that are jumping on the bandwagon or whatever, I don't know, but it's a high profile case. People, it's unfortunate that they live right in the middle of it, but I understand why they're annoyed, but also it's no point in taking it out on the searchers, because the searchers are trying to help. Anyway, first of all, let me just say thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate all your positive input towards my channel. Thank you to those who sent Ko-fis. Thank you to those who sent super stickers. Thank you. Special thanks as always to my members. Okay, let's take the banner off and we're going to get going. Hi, old hippie. Yeah, so, the key here is, what is the motive, for doing it? I'm starting to go towards this. Is it somebody, who wants Savannah to suffer? I'm sort of starting to lean towards that because there's definitely something personal here, I think. I don't believe it's a random attack. I don't believe it's a robbery gone wrong. Doesn't fit that picture. I don't believe it's kidnapping. It's like somebody really wanted either Savannah to suffer or the Guthrie family in general, or had a grudge against Nancy. I mean, the thing is, Nancy's 84 years old. I'm sure she's upset some people in her life, as we probably all have, So is it? But I feel there's a personal motive here. I really do. One way or another, this is a personal motive. That's just how it feels to me. And the person seems to know their way around. Anyway, it's just conjecture, of course. There was an interesting theory a guy came up with on JLR stream yesterday, that it was somebody had deliberately doing it to make Sheriff Nanos look bad. Personally, I think Sheriff Nanos can do that all on his own. He doesn't need it. But I think that's a bit far-fetched, that theory, that someone would go to all the trouble of kidnapping an 84-year-old woman and possibly killing her just to annoy Sheriff Nanos or make him look bad. But you know what? All the theories in this case, because we don't know, one is as likely as another in a way, really, isn't it? We have no clue but I think if they could find the motive, that's when they'll find the perpetrator. The motive is at the heart of it. Somebody has gone to that house with the intention of targeting Nancy for whatever reason. Could be because they think she's got money in the house. It could be to do with that. But I don't think it was a casual robbery. I think it would be a targeted robbery, that someone had heard maybe she had money lying around or jewellery lying around. She was targeted, in my opinion. Why that house? Why going in the middle of the night, though, as well, when somebody is there, unless they thought she wasn't there? Maybe they saw her go off to Tomas's and Annie's and didn't think she was back. I mean, I just don't know. But I do think if you could find the motive, you could find the perpetrators, So, yeah. Hi, old hippie. The perp had to come with a plan to this. Yeah. That's it. Everyone keeps saying, like all the experts on the podcast, the ex-FBI people and keep saying, no, it doesn't look like someone who knew what they were doing. But they've gone 3 weeks and there's not a trace of him. So they've done something right somewhere along the line, haven't they, to cover their traces as well as that for all this time. So maybe they, do you know what, old hippie, something, maybe, oh God, it's a horrible thought, but what if they went there? Because I'm thinking of the Anna Knezevich case, when her husband targeted her, went to Madrid and went in her apartment and brought her out in a suitcase. Maybe this person always intended to kill Nancy. Maybe they went in there with that rucksack full of stuff. Maybe that's like a kill kit. You just don't know. And then they were in there quite a long time, 47 minutes. So I'm worrying. There you go, I'm back. They had time to do, if that's what they went for, deliberately to kill her, they had time to, do something with her body, didn't they? I don't know that. I'm not saying that that's what they did. Let's hope not. And there's still this blood the dripping blood in the porchway. It's like somebody said it was like she was standing there and the blood dripped. Was she alive then? Well, you normally have to be alive to bleed, don't you? So, but it could be blood that was, you just don't know. You try and envisage the scenario, and you just can't imagine it. And yeah, was it just one person or more than one person? And where was the vehicle? Where was the vehicle? Did they get Nancy into a vehicle? She couldn't have walked away because of her mobility. She wasn't, I mean, obviously she's 84 years old. I don't know what her weight is. But, depending, some people are easier to carry around than others, aren't they? So when David Knezovich went into his wife Anna's apartment, she's a very tiny, petite woman. He's fitted her into a suitcase and took her out. But some women or men, some people are bigger than others, aren't they? How tall was Nancy? I'm not sure. I might have a look in a minute. Don't know what her weight was, because depending on someone's height and weight is how easy they are to carry. A strong guy could put someone over their shoulder and carry them off if they weren't very heavy. So I don't know with Nancy. Somehow they just got her out there into the car. Nobody heard anything. Nobody saw anything. And the other interesting thing that I was noticing that the searchers were saying over the weekend, even as soon as it gets light, there's joggers, there's cyclists, there's people around. I've noticed that when we've been watching JLR, when he first gets there, there's lots of people walking their dogs, cycling past, running past. And if all this happened around about 2 a.m, or it wasn't long before it got light. So they would have to get away before it got light. Gets light quite early, doesn't it? So they took a chance, didn't they? So it's obviously planned. That, to me, it was planned, I think. And whatever was in that rucksack when they went into Nancy's house, I think that was part of the way of kidnapping. Maybe it was duct tape and a kidnap kit. Did they take her out with a gag on her mouth, their arms tied behind her back, even in handcuffs? You just don't know what was in that rucksack. It was bulging, that rucksack. That to me, I just think, no, burglars don't take full rucksacks with them, do they? Even if they had a couple of tools in there to get in through the door, it's not a full rucksack's worth, is it? So it's very odd. Anyway, it is odd. The whole case is odd. That's why we're all here still talking about it. So, so when these searchers, as I said, they found items, the police did come out and bag up things, found more gloves, and they just they didn't touch anything. They looked through drainage pipes, and I just think there's a lot of people been out there searching now, and maybe they're going over the same area over and over again. But we've seen that before. Bodies can be missed, evidence can be missed, because searching is not like you can't. It's easy to miss things. So let's just have a look at this conflict. So there was one of the neighbours came out and really had a go at I think it was JLR, that was walking with these two ladies. So this so next, this is the clip from it. She got very angry. Oh, hang on.
I live here. This is my street.
But we're
What
not.
the hell are you doing?
We're not involved with your
Well,
house.
then get the hell out of here.
We're walking.
Yeah, well,
You're the
keep
one with the vehicle,
walking.
ma'am. You can get in your
You're
car.
filming.
So this woman parks her car, comes out, challenges these women, starts having a go at them for filming. Well, JLR is filming. But she walked into the camera. And anyway, you can't stop people walking down the road.
I don't know. This is just so weird.
Who are you people and what are you doing here? This is our house. What are you doing?
It's a public road.
Filming.
It's a public road.
What are you
We're
filming?
not filming your house. Ma'am, we're not filming your house. We're walking. This is a
Yeah,
public
who are
road.
you and where are you from?
Who are you and where are
Media.
you from?
I live here. This is my street.
But we're
What
not.
the hell are you
We're
doing?
not involved with your
Well,
house.
then get the hell out of here.
We're walking.
Yeah, well,
You're the
keep
one with the vehicle,
walking.
ma'am. You can get in your
You're
car.
filming, and
All
you
due
have no
respect.
right to film me. You have no right to publish any of this.
Well, she doesn't know much about the law, does she? Because yes, you are allowed to film in public places. She's just walked right up to the camera. If she would have just driven past in a car, no, she wouldn't have ended up. She got no right to film it. She's made herself famous, if you like, or infamous on social media because she got out of her car and started having a go at these women who, at the end of the day, they're just walking down the road and they're trying to help. What I know, that's I really honestly do understand why the neighbours probably would be annoyed, but anyone can walk down a public road and film. Nobody can stop you. You can film a person even without their consent if it's in public. It might be ethically wrong to do that, but you can do it. But the thing is, she came up to the video, to the women. She started antagonizing them. They didn't do anything. So of course everyone's calling her a Karen, but and she is a
No
Karen.
one's
You
bothering you.
can leave.
We were
Keep
walking.
walking.
When we're done with Keep what we're walking. doing,
Keep
we'll
walking.
leave. We will
What?
keep
You're
walking.
Keep
filming our
walking.
property. You have no right
No
to
one's
do
filming
that.
your property.
You
We're not
don't
filming
get-
houses.
Yes, you were. You were filming right up
No,
at the house.
we were filming you until you walked up here. We started filming you once you walked up here.
So you put
You
yourself
put
on
yourself
camera.
in here. You
And
see
you
the
have
camera?
no right to use that footage for anything. You have no right to use the footage. for yourself.
Everybody's
You watch
using
it
it
for
now.
Well, the sheriff
You
seems
have
to
no
let
right
us.
to be here.
We do.
Get the hell out.
You can go back in your car and
I'm
leave.
sick of this media
Have a good
circus
day, ma'am.
bullshit.
Have a good day, ma'am.
Get
God
the
bless.
hell out of our.
God bless.
Maybe tell your sheriff to do a better job, and we wouldn't have to be here.
They're media, so they think they have a right to do any goddamn thing they want.
Bring
They're
Nancy
lying
home.
pieces of shit.
Bring Nancy home.
So then she calls them pieces of shit. I tell you, these women, they were very calm because I'm afraid, I probably would have gone mental at this moment. But yeah, so she comes out, and then as she gets in the car and she's about to drive off, she calls them pieces of shit. So what is she doing to help? She's a neighbour. Why isn't she out searching? I just people are funny out there. I understand that she's going to be annoyed. This is probably a very quiet neighbourhood normally. They're probably used to just coming out the house, not seeing anybody, or although we've seen, that there seems to be a lot of strange people wandering about and trying to break into places. But, it is she's probably used to just coming out of her house. Now she's coming out of her house. All these cones are there. Her road's been made one way. She's peed off. I understand her being peed off. There's no point taking it. It's not that those women haven't kidnapped Nancy. Blame the person who kidnapped Nancy.
Bring Nancy home.
Wow.
Oh, yay! Look how you drive.
I think
And then she sets off like a bat out of hell, like this. It's not a very responsible citizen, is she?
that was a little uncalled for. I'd stay silent. I mean, we're literally just walking down the street. And I'm talking to y'all while you all are searching, and she runs up and says you're filming her house, and no one's filming her house.
We're filming you because you walked out your car up to us. Come on.
Literally everyone in my chat is saying Karen, Karen, Karen,
Karen.
Karen,
That's fine
Karen.
though, but if she doesn't want people to help out finding people, that's fine.
I'm so glad my mum never named me Karen. I have a lot of friends called Karen because it's that sort of age group. Karen was a popular name, isn't it? But thank God I'm not called Karen.
That's fine. That shows her character, her heart, and God.
Or
bless her.
Kevin.
That
Hey,
was
God will give her better
that
ways.
one was great. That's the craziest thing we've seen on
God
our
will
live,
give that woman
folks.
strength.
JLR investigates. I just stay back and
JLR loves the drama. He didn't say a word. He just carried on filming. And she's going, you can't film, you can't film. But she put herself on film. Let's watch it again. And these poor women, they're just out there trying to help.
I don't know. This is just so weird.
Who are you people and what are you doing here? This is our house. What are you doing?
It's a public road.
Filming.
It's a public
Public
road.
road.
We're not filming your house. And we're not filming your house. We're walking. This is a
Yeah,
public
who are
road.
you and where are you from?
Who are you? And where are
Media.
you from?
I live here. This is my street.
But we're
What
not-
the hell are you
We're
doing?
not involved with your
Well,
house.
then get the hell out of here.
We're walking.
Yeah, well,
You're the
keep
one with the
walking.
vehicle, man. You can get in your
You're
car.
filming, and
All
you
due
have no
respect.
right to film me. You have no right to publish any of this.
All
You
due
came
respect.
out on
Get
the
the hell
camera.
out.
You
All due
came out on the
respect,
camera.
You can hop in your car and go into your house. No one's
You
bothering you.
can leave.
We were
Keep
walking.
walking.
When we're done with
Keep
what we're
walking.
doing,
Keep
we'll
walking.
leave.
We will
What?
keep
You're
walking.
filming our property. You have no right
No
to
one's
do
filming
that.
your property.
We're
You
not
don't
filming
get-
houses.
Yes, you were. You were filming right up
No.
at the house.
We
We're
were
not filming
filming you
houses.
until you walked up here. We started filming you once you walked up here.
So you put
You
yourself
put
on
yourself
camera.
in here. You
And
see
you
the
have
camera?
no right to use that footage. For anything, you have no right to use the footage of our house.
You walked into our camera.
Well, the sheriff
You
seems
have
to
no
let us.
right to be here.
We do.
Get the hell out.
You can go back in your car and
I'm
leave.
sick of this media.
She says you have no right to film our house. Well, you can't stop someone filming your house from the street. I mean, you just, they weren't filming the house, to be fair. It was the only time we noticed the house then was because she pointed it out. But, even if they were filming the house, I don't think you can stop someone doing that. You could phone the police and say, someone's filming my house, it feels creepy. You wouldn't want someone to film your house. Of course you wouldn't. And you want your privacy. And I do understand it. But, of course, the way she deals with it is not right, is it? She's come out and just attacked those two girls. I mean, to be honest, they could have been FBI for all she knew. She just came out and started having a go at him. So she's an aggressive woman. She is a Karen.
Have a good day, man.
Bullshit.
Have a good day, man.
Get
God
the
bless.
hell out of our.
God bless.
Maybe tell your sheriff to do a better job.
Tell your sheriff to do a better job, she said. And then she really shows her true colours.
They think they have a right to do any goddamn thing they want.
Bring
Lying
Nancy home.
pieces of shit.
Bring
Welcome
Nancy
to
home.
America.
Bring Nancy home.
wow.
Wow.
Oh, yay!
How old
I
is
think
she,
that was a
for
little
God's
uncalled.
sake? Taking off like a boy racer, for God's sake. Just ridiculous. Ridiculous. But anyway, so I thought I'd just show you that little bit of conflict that came from the searches. They're going to get that, aren't they? There will be people, and as I said, it's going to, you have to blame the people that kidnapped Nancy. These people did not cause this. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. Oh, now I'm going to show you a little clip from a Brian Entin short. So Brian interviewed the lawyer of Carlos. I've forgotten his surname. He's got Panazuelos or something like that. He was the first person detained, not arrested, in the SWAT that couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it? It was that crazy Friday when it felt like everything was coming to a head and maybe we were going to get somewhere with this case. And Carlos was was detained. And we don't know, because Sheriff Nanos has not done a press conference, he has not cleared Carlos either. So, Carlos is still probably a bit under suspicion from people. And we still don't know why he was ever detained in the first place. So you do, Tracy. You always get one, don't you? At least one. You always get one Karen, one Kevin. I don't know what I would do. I was thinking about it. You know, if someone was filming outside my house, I probably would say to them, "Oh, you know, why are you filming outside my house?" Like, you know, you might go out and ask them. But really, to be honest, you would know it would be connected with this case. You know, if there was a case like this near where I live, near where you live, you would know that you know, because this is 3 weeks on. This is not the first day, and you're thinking, "Oh, why is everybody here?" She knows why they're there, and they're going to walk past her house. She lives in the neighbourhood. And as I say, it's not their fault. It is whoever kidnapped Nancy Guthrie. How dare they kidnap someone in her neighbourhood? You know, they're the ones she wants to get annoyed with. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. I would ask. You know, you start off being polite, don't you? If you went out and were polite, and I've seen with JLR, if I know he do, you know, he will have loved that because he's got that bit of conflict on thing. It's been clipped and people are showing it. But I've seen him. If people go up to him and ask him to not put them on camera or mute the feed, he does it. You know, he doesn't. That woman came and put herself on camera, didn't she? You know. So lots of Karens and Kevins. We mustn't forget the Kevins. The Karens always get the. But there's plenty of guys as well that are just the same in everywhere, aren't there? There's plenty of them here, to be honest. They always try and interfere in what, you know, people always want to know what you're doing, don't they? But yeah, if they're outside your house, you do have a right to say, "Oh, look, you know, where you're from," and you can say, "Look, do you mind not filming my house?" I mean, there's a way of saying things, isn't there? And I know for a fact, because JLR doesn't want problems. He doesn't want problems with the sheriffs. He doesn't want, you know, he's there and he's doing his thing within the right, what he's got the right to do. But I've noticed that if there's ever any sort of conflict, like he just turns off his, he mutes it or he turns his camera the other way. He doesn't want to get. He doesn't want a problem. He doesn't want to be told he can't come. Remember the Nicola Bully case, and we had that Curtis Arnold. He was actually banned from entering the county, which because he was too much. It was too much. You going round and sort of making people's lives a misery. And he, you know, of course, he's turned out he's not a very nice person. You know, he is an SEX offender as well. So there you go. So he was banned from the actual county in the end. So JLR doesn't want that, does he? He wants to be there, boots on the ground, so he won't cause trouble. She caused the trouble, not him. Okay, so let's have a look at this, Brian. Let me put that down. So if I put Windows down as I go along. What we're going to look at now. Yeah, let's have a look at this Brian Entin. Let me just turn the sound down on my video there. So Brian Entin, you know, he always gets the good interviews as well, doesn't he? He's different. He's different from JLR, but JLR's documents everything that's going on. Brian Entin's he seems to have more interviews with you know, people relevant to the case. Where JLR he has these spontaneous interviews. People come up and chat to him, don't they? But let's have a look at that. So he interviewed the lawyer of this poor guy. Oh, hang on. No, that's not the one. Where is he? There it is. So, yeah, he interviewed the lawyer of the poor guy who was detained for hours, apparently, never taken to the station, but in different cars. He was interviewed, handcuffed. still doesn't know what led the police to detain him. I mean, we presume that the police would not have detained him. Hi, Julie. Happy Monday. Yay, it's Monday again. It's Monday again. Yeah, we still don't know why. I don't think even he knows why he was arrested. Obviously, there was a reason for it. They won't have just gone and arrested him for nothing. But of course, he's a delivery driver, so perhaps he was seen in the area, or perhaps it was a tip-off from someone that said he looked like the guy on the CCTV. We don't know because Sheriff Nanos hasn't told us. There's been no press conference about this, and even the poor guy himself, he doesn't know. Ridiculous. Let's see.
In Rio Rico, the first real raid related to the Nancy Guthrie case that I was at right near the Mexico border. There was a guy named Carlos who was detained. He was never arrested. Well, I finally got a chance to talk to his lawyer to find out a little more of what was going on behind the scenes. I didn't realize they had him in a police car for like 5 to 7 hours, handcuffed. He was interrogated, and then he was let go. But this is what
5 to 7 hours. Wow.
What his lawyer told me.
He spent a total of somewhere between 5 and 7 hours in the back of police vehicles, fully handcuffed, separated from his family, and being questioned by Pima County personnel and most likely the FBI.
So they questioned him while he was in the car still?
Correct.
Okay. And then was he just let go after 7 hours in the car?
Yeah.
And that
absolutely.
Wow. Okay. And so,
you know, yeah. The other thing I was going to say is they also questioned his family. They questioned his wife. They questioned his mother-in-law, and they arrested and detained, other members of his family.
And so while he's in the car, what happened at the house?
What happened at the house is they did a forced entry into the house, breaking doors, terrifying the occupants, terrifying Carlos's family, and damaging property.
Did they take any?
Yeah, because apparently didn't that lady, his mother-in-law said that her son. So Carlos is married to the lady who spoke to her daughter, or married, or that's his partner. And they were living with the mother-in-law because they'd recently fallen into some financial problems and they'd been evicted, hadn't they? So they'd moved in with the mother-in-law. Well, she's got a son living there who was playing on his Nintendo, apparently. He's not he's an adult son. And he was, taken out into the garden in handcuffs, detained. He said arrested. Nobody was arrested. He was detained in handcuffs. Imagine how terrifying, just sat there playing on your PlayStation or your Nintendo or whatever it is. And in come the SWAT team, handcuff you, take you out into the garden. You haven't got a clue what's going on. Because the police seemed to think that Nancy was in that house. Anyway, she wasn't. Nobody was arrested. What's the fault? I mean, is he, he needs a lawyer and needs to go and claim some compensation.
Our understanding is that the only item that they took is Carlos's telephone, his cell phone.
And was he able to get that back?
No,
not yet. We've contacted Pima County Sheriff's Office and requested it. We've also contacted the FBI and requested that it be returned. Obviously, we've also put in records requests and evidence preservation letters.
Do you have any idea? I mean, based on what they were asking Carlos, have you been able to sort of piece together why they thought he was involved?
I don't think they had any reason to think he was involved. My belief is that it's most like this is his arrest, his unlawful detention, the search of his residence, his property, the seizure of his property, probably all goes to some electronic evidence that's really dubious. Something like cell phone pings, something like flock cameras. He's a delivery driver. I don't know that he was ever even in that area.
Hey guys, you guys remember that raid in Rio Rico?
Oh,
The first
yeah. So that. So Paul Carlos. Yeah. Oh. So yeah, Paul Carlos, that was his ordeal. Now that was quite a few weeks ago. That's 2 weeks ago now. Then of course since then the other guy has been Luke. He was detained, and I know JLR is. He was shouting out to him, trying to get him to come on and tell his story. He is another one who was detained but not arrested, and also the DNA that was found at Nancy's house when they put it through CODIS, it did not come up with a match. And Luke Daly, I think his name is, he would be in CODIS, I think. So, you know, now, of course, because they were detained and released does not mean that they may not come in the future, that there, you know, some more evidence comes up. And, you know, you know what I feel? I just feel they were desperate to do something. You know, and the fact that they were detained and then released and it turned out they had nothing to do with it just makes me feel there's a desperation here. I don't know. And I just wonder why. How can they know nothing, have no vehicle? Now, they may do. So we've always got to cling on to that. There may be lots of things that they do know and they just don't want to say. So, just feels like now. I know this. Maybe we expect things to happen too quick. It took a long time. Same thing, similar thing in the Brian Kohlberger, the Idaho 4 case. Took quite a long time, didn't it, to arrest him? And everyone was complaining the police weren't doing anything. But then we've got this idiot, Sheriff Nanos, saying, actually not even saying, oh, we're confident there'll be a break soon. He said, oh, it could take days, it could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. You know, that's the sort of thing we're getting from the sheriff, from our leader, or from the, you know, he's the leader. He's the one who's supposed to be setting an example. He can't even be positive. So as I say, there's all these rumours. A lot of people are reporting on the fact now that the FBI, or now, whether it's true or not, I don't know, that the FBI are desperate to take over this case. But the person who's pulling back from that or pushing back from that is Sheriff Nanos himself. He won't let them. And the other thing that people are starting to ask about is about the Guthrie family themselves. Why aren't they maybe pushing more for that, for the FBI to take over? Would they have a say in it? I don't know. I think if it was my mum, I probably would be out there saying, just let the FBI take over. You know, he's had 3 weeks to sort of try and make an impression. And the only impression Sheriff Nanos has made us all think he's an idiot and a clown. And he's not capable of running the investigation. So, yeah, I think maybe you would want, the sheriff's department said themselves, let the professionals do it. That's what they said about the searches. Well, why don't they let the professionals do it? You know, with the best will in the world. I know they're, you know, they are professional. I'm not saying they're not in a way, but they're not like the FBI. Let the FBI take over, because it's not gone well so far without them taking over, hasn't it? So what can, you know, this is a woman's life at stake. This is a family who are desperate, miserable, you know, wanting to know what's happened to their mum and to their grandma, of course, because she will have grandchildren. So yeah, I don't understand why he's not. Anyway, we're going to have a look at his very first press conference. Sorry, not the first one. Yesterday we had a look at the first press conference that Sheriff Nanos gave. And we have to give him some leg room there, because he could tell he was tired. He had been up all night, you know. So now this is the second press conference we're going to watch, where it was organised, or supposedly, but he still doesn't seem very prepared. This man just doesn't seem that engaged in this case. Now, I know there's lots of other cases going on in Pima County, but he is the sheriff, And this is the case that's got worldwide attention. So he's got to concentrate on it. He's got to. That's what he's there for. What is keep saying, oh, that's not my role. What is your role, Sheriff Nanos? If it's not to be the figurehead for your department, you are the figurehead for your department. And if you don't like it, don't be a sheriff or let the FBI take over. This is what I don't understand about him. He wants to be the figurehead. He wants to be in the center of everything in one way, but in another way, he doesn't. Anyway, in this second press conference, which is over 2 weeks ago, he's never done one since. He tries to put together some sort of timeline, and the FBI, I think, were there as well. So let's have a look at that. And that's why I think he doesn't want to do press conferences, because he doesn't want to be with the FBI. He's just doing his individual interviews because he can do them himself. He doesn't have to include anybody else. He doesn't want to include anybody. That's how it feels, definitely, to me. But anyway, let me know what you think. Where is it? So I think it was this one, 6th of February, yeah.
To ask a question, but last.
Oh, why is it not showing the camera? Oh, here it is.
Pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice and you're gonna get the same answer. So help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up. Okay. But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all,
Right, so let me put
good morning. I hope you've been kind of informed of the rules. I'm going to try to get as many, if not all of you, an opportunity to ask a question. But last time we tried this, it was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice and you're going to get the same answer. So help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up. Okay. But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern.
Oh, yeah, there's that helicopter.
You keep them in your prayers. Colonel Glover and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell. Apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, they just understand you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want mom back. Okay. Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department. This is just Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. So many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really, we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, you know, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner in an interview. They're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence. They're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. You all know the beyond the port. That was one we did. They didn't what we know, but there's still more items that have been.
So this is where he confirmed that the blood was Nancy's. Now, if you look at these guys, I think this is the FBI guy at the back. He just, anyone who stood at the back of Nanos when he's talking, they always look like they're thinking, "What an idiot."
We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as quickly and as expert at every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it's us.
Yeah, see, that was a total cock-up that he made there that people are talking about now. He said, when we first went to that scene on Saturday night, well, Nancy wasn't reported missing until Sunday. So it's probably a slip of the tongue and he meant Sunday. But, you know, this is just typical of the incompetence of this man. He said Saturday night and he didn't even... didn't even notice that he'd said it. Somebody should have said to him, no, it was Sunday, because that, of course, now people are talking, why did he say Saturday night? Why did he say Saturday night? He should be more accurate than that. He's the bloody sheriff. But he clearly said Saturday night.
We go and see it as well. And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Fix. Out there, suspects, and I want to be very clear. This time, we're just not there. We're not there yet. I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that various get and some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, get this comes back to us, and like you, we have questions. And we say, oh, it's sent back, or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we. All right, was with you did on the board there, but at 5:32 p.m. these are our submit times. 5:30 Nancy travels to her local family for dinner and meetings with the. We're told by the family that Nancy saw that, and we do that because we have the garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door.
Yeah, now I know it's
Absolutely.
quite common for people to go in through their garage doors, isn't it? So the thing is, I don't know if they've got any actual CCTV of Nancy coming home. We've not been told that. Tommaso supposedly dropped her off. The garage door opened, so somebody went in, but is there actual proof that it was Nancy? Of course, now Tommaso is cleared according to Sheriff Nanos, but we unfortunately we're just in this position where we don't believe anything he says. But anyway, so the garage door opened and closed, so presumably that's when Nancy went home through the garage. And I know a lot of people do that.
Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself.
So do you remember this at the beginning? So they said that at 2:12, motion was. Look at that guy looking at him. This guy at the back here, he's looking at him as it, I don't know what. Look at his face. He doesn't look very sort of happy with him, does he? But anyway, so yeah, 2:12, the camera detected motion, and at this time, when Sheriff Nanos did this press conference, they didn't have that footage because it had been recorded over because there was no subscription. But the FBI did their magic, didn't they, on that CCTV, and they came up in the end with that image. Now, that was the FBI that came up with that. Just pass it over to the FBI, Nanos, you fool. What they're looking at him as if they just let us do it, for God's sake.
It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So it detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video.
Well,
we're not giving up on that.
2:28.
Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m.
Yeah, so we still don't know. Did her app disconnect from the phone, her pacemaker, because she then went out of range? Or what, did somebody actually disconnect it on her phone? Because her phone was left behind. Did somebody disconnect it, or did it disconnect because Nancy was taken out of range? We don't know that either.
The family checks on Nancy, discovers her missing, and at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here, or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, let me make sure. I want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed, we know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. the car. The car that was at the home it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber, we did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had residents.
So this, of course, is something that seems strange to people. Why did you take an Uber there, but Tommaso brought her home? You know, you think it'd be the other way around, really, wouldn't it? You know, normally if you have family over or friends over, you don't mind going and picking them up. But perhaps while you were having dinner, you might have a few glasses of wine or a couple of beers. So the Uber would be more likely to take somebody home, wouldn't it? But anyway, not in this case. The Uber went and got Nancy, took her just up the road to her daughter's house, but not an Uber to go home. Tommaso took her home. A lot of people think that's strange. Well, it's not strange, is it? But it is, you know, unexplained. Like, so apparently they found the Uber driver, but no, why has nobody interviewed the Uber driver? Maybe he's not allowed to talk because it's an active investigation. But apparently he was cleared.
The daughter for dinner, and we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house, you guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things.
Yeah, but they didn't leave up the crime scene tape, did they? They have not. This house, even now, people are just rocking up there and going onto the property, taking photos. I saw that on a JLR stream the other night. Literally, this until this case is resolved, Nancy's house is a crime scene. I don't understand. This is something we don't understand, that is never explained properly, why the crime scene tape was ever taken away in the first place, allowing journalists to go up and film that blood on the step and go right up close to the property. Until then, they sort of realised and put a sheriff there. But even now, people are still going onto the property. It's ridiculous.
Oh, here's the other thing. Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all. Whether it's forced entry or not forced entry, that is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information.
Now, they've still not said if it was forced entry or not confirmed it. What is that? Why? Maybe that's crucial to the investigation. He said we're not confirming if it was forced entry or not. We're just not discussing that. So I suppose the thing is, if it wasn't forced entry, what, did someone have a key? Did they ring the doorbell and Nancy came to the door? I mean, what? You know, I don't think Nancy did come to the door, because he said, well, according to him, he's literally said she was taken from her bed. So I don't think she did go to the door. But did whoever it was have a key, or did they just, I don't know, did they force entry? Was that what was in that rucksack? You know, stuff to force entry. It's odd, isn't it, that they're not saying that. That reminds me a bit of the Tepe murders, because we still don't know how Monique Tepe's ex-husband, Michael McKee, we don't know how he got into the property yet, do we? We probably won't find that out until it comes to the trial or whatever. But he got in one way or another. Either he knew the keypad or he broke in, or we don't know. How did this person get in? We saw them take the camera down, but we don't know how they actually entered the house.
I'm done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and I think you know him if you haven't been here. John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special engineer in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix Division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home.
No.
The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance.
So let's not forget they've now doubled that. It's now $100,000. The FBI are offering, Crime Stoppers are offering another $100,000, and then there's another $2,500. So the total reward at the moment is, I think, $200,000 to $202,500, and nobody has come forward. You know, that just makes me feel either nobody knows anything or they're too scared to say anything, because that sort of money normally does bring people out the woodwork, doesn't it?
And this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partner. Sheriff's Department. We have additionally to our office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured.
You do just feel so much better when he's talking. You know, he sounds so much more authoritative. I don't know, it just sounds better. This is why Nanos doesn't want to do press conferences, because they show him up for how incompetent he is and how much more competent the FBI are. He wants to do his little interviews in his purple shirt in his office where nobody else is stealing his thunder.
All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family. And while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. That in tips. Please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online to those imposters.
Now, yeah, that's a good point, Matt. You did say banks. Whose banks? Whose banks is he checking? Is he checking Nancy's bank? Because it may quite often, one thing that people who break and enter sometimes do is try and get people's PIN numbers out of them, don't they? They don't normally march up. They do sometimes take the person off to the cash point, don't they, to take money out. Did Nancy have a lot of money in the bank, and is that what the initial thing was, to take her off to the cash point, and then maybe she maybe she fought back. The thing is, the other thing we have to remember is, although Nancy was 84, and of course she is vulnerable, don't ever underestimate little old ladies who might not appreciate somebody trying to get their PIN number out of them, or, she may have been a very feisty old lady, and she may have put up a fight, and maybe that's how it all went wrong. You can't imagine her putting up much of a fight if someone was pointing a gun at her, but because this person did have a gun, didn't they? But you just don't know. Maybe Nancy at 84, she thought, well, you can F off, you're not having my money, I'd rather go, I always think that if I was ever kidnapped off the street, before they would get me in the car, I would rather they just shot me there, and then there's no way I'm getting in someone's car, because once you get in someone's car, you've had it one way or another, and you don't know what you're going to have to face. So to me, if somebody put a gun to me and said, get in the car, I'd just say, just shoot me here on the street. There's no way I'm getting in that car. I'd rather you shot and kill me here now than take me off and do whatever to me. Now, Nancy might have been like that. She might have said, do your worst, I'm not coming, or I'm not giving you my PIN number, or there's lots of, thing is, we just don't know, do it? We do not know what happened.
Who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing.
Yeah.
This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a worse.
He's so much better than Nanos, isn't it? So you can see why Nanos doesn't want to do a press conference with him. Just his whole demeanor, everything about him inspires you with more confidence.
Much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
Okay, so the person going to start with the list is Liz, right here.
Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe, if you look at this here, from 147 to 228, what you think happened there, and what particular software would have detected somebody on camera?
Yeah, I don't. I know we know the software that was there. But I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not in the weeds.
So,
I know that. Think of your doorbell cameras. Somebody walks up. My wife's. If I walk up, she gets an alert, and it's usually something like that.
I haven't got a clue.
Detected.
So to understand then the follow-up, one, does that mean that it was about a 45-minute span that this suspect or suspects would have been on the property? And then also, does this essentially mean that you've cooperated with the tech companies and you can officially say that no surveillance video is available from the home?
We know that the tech company that we sent that camera off to, yes, they've said they've run out of ways to recover any video.
And was that about 45
next
minutes?
person's going to be ABC News, Aaron Katersky.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Was what 45
Can
minutes?
we say it's about a 45-minute span that somebody would have been on the property then, from 147 to 228?
Yeah, I think those times speak for themselves, and it is about, like I say, those are approximates. So yes. I'm sorry. Who was next? Did you say?
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much.
He hasn't got a
Is there
bloody clue.
information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be leading you in a particular direction?
This is no different than any criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County.
Oh my God.
We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too. So, I'll leave that for you to determine.
Now that you are having such an injection of manpower from the Pima critical
Oh my
intelligence
God.
and the FBI, we slow to bring that in at the outset? Should all of these resources been brought to bear sooner?
I guess that, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. I do it all the time, so you have the opportunity to do it from take that.
Has there been any life, and has there been any sign of life?
I'm going to be
Agent about its ransom note that nowadays you've heard of the able today, and second, if did informing the gun its existence.
So the ransom that was sent out, every lead in this case, we are taking serious.
Everyone is presented to the family. Why this one?
Because this was the ransom came in and it had facts associated with a monetary value they were asking for.
So
So
those facts can be the regulation, as you know, it's a record straight.
yeah, the ransom itself, one talked about an Apple Watch, and one talked about a floodlight. I'm not going to specify that.
They took that ransom note seriously because they mentioned where the Apple Watch was. There was this feeling that only the kidnappers might have known that. But anyway, that ransom note, the deadline came and went. They never provided any proof of life. So we don't know if the Guthrie family did pay that ransom. They may well have paid it. And then, that happens sometimes with kidnappings. They put in a ransom request, but even after the people pay the ransom, that's it. Then the kidnappers just disappear and they still don't get their loved one back. Kidnappings are horrible because quite often I think it's more rare for a hostage victim to be returned to their family, even after the money's been paid. But we don't know if they did pay that money or not. But anyway, the deadlines came and went and no sign of Nancy.
Others then can use to try to profit from this.
Who else would know? Who else would know about an Apple Watch?
Hey, Agent, I want to follow up with you real quick on that. There have been, as far as we know, I think 3 ransom notes so far, 1 arrest. Are they all different? Do you think there's different authors behind all of them? Or
So the one that went to the media is the one was made or sworn that there was no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case. It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
And Sheriff, you started off the press conference by saying you believe that Nancy is still out there. Do you have reason to believe that she's still out there alive, or are you fearful of the worst case scenario here, that she won't be found alive?
Well, I'm certainly fearful of that. I think we all are. But it is we operate from a position that until we know she's out there, she's alive, and we're going to continue thinking that way until we find her.
Fox Digital, Mike Reese.
Yeah, sir. Michael Ruiz from Fox Digital. Sheriff, you said you've identified no suspects. Have you ruled out any he was with on Saturday night?
We've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investor feelings about this one's clear or there's that, but I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
Of a forced entry came.
So there's another time where he said nobody was ruled out, but of course now he's saying that the family were ruled out right from the early days of the investigation. You can't believe a word this man says. You just can't. He is totally incompetent.
Do we know how whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
Fox News.
He doesn't know.
Morrow.
Question for Agent Edwards, if I may. Agent Edwards, will Bureau be submitting the DNA for investigative genealogical investigation relative to maybe hitting a relative, somebody if you walk?
I would say the DNA aspect of this case is being handled by the Pima County Sheriff's Department right now.
Oh.
However, should we get to that point, yes, that would be an option for the FBI to assist.
And a quick follow-up, does the ransom note that you'll
Yeah, because he's, that's telling, isn't it? Right from then, the way he looked at him and he said, "Oh well, the DNA's been dealt with the Pima." They've cocked up the DNA, of course. The whole thing is, he should have let the FBI just deal with it. You can feel the tension here between these guys. He won't let go, will he? He won't let go because he wants to be the one to solve the case. So straight from then, he's saying, no, they're dealing with the DNA, but we would do that. We would do it.
working, establish any communication protocols in it?
No, it does not. And that is what I think is important, that if someone has Nancy and is demanding the ransom, that education, the family. We talked about has been no proof of life, and there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
ABC affiliate Ashley Bolden.
When you say the camera was just believe that camera was
We don't have it in our possession. We've not located.
notes. We were also hearing.
Yeah, he's saying again there that they don't have the camera in their possession. They haven't located it. So the information they're getting from the camera, they must be they're getting from the cloud. He's saying they haven't got the actual camera itself. It was taken away. That's what he's saying.
Video that was put out by the Guthrie siblings, and I don't know if this is a question for the FBI or yourself, but the challenges of seeing an image and knowing that it's real. Could one of you address that? Has the family received correspondence, any images, videos?
So we're not going to go into facts regarding this part of the investigation. I think part of that message was with AI these days, you can make videos that appear to be very real. So we can't just take a video and trust that is a proof of life these days because of the advancements in AI and trying to actually get a proof of life that we can verify. But we're not going to go into anything the family may or may not have received.
Okay, well, Patterson.
So in regards to
Don't you think from that it sounds like he's saying there was a video received? Do you remember with the first appeal from the Guthrie family, from the three siblings together, they said in this day and age, what was the words that they said? In this day and age, images can be manipulated. Do you know what this makes? Let's listen to him say that again. The way he's talking there is as if they had received an image, but they thought it might be AI.
also hearing in that video that was put out by the Guthrie siblings, and I don't know if this is a question for the FBI or yourself, but the challenges of seeing an image and knowing that it's real. Could one of you address that? Has the family received correspondence, any images, videos?
So we're not going to go into facts regarding this part of the investigation. I think part of that message was with AI these days, you can make videos that appear to be very real. So we can't just take a video and trust that is a proof of life these days because of the advancements in AI and trying to actually get a proof of life that we can verify. But we're not going to go into anything the family may or may not have received.
Okay, well,
Yeah, so it's always interesting going back over these initial press conferences with some hindsight over things that have happened since. That just what he said there makes you think that maybe they did receive something, but they didn't feel that it was genuine. That it was AI generated. Maybe it is easy these days to create images, so maybe they wanted more proof than that. They weren't happy with whatever they were sent. And you know, it's not only these days, because I think I talked on another video about years ago, Israel Keys, a serial killer. He kidnapped a girl and he killed her. This was in Alaska. Israel Keys was, you know, your man next door. Like he's the most sort of average looking person you could ever imagine. Had a partner, had a child. He's one of those, you know, the devils that walk amongst us. And in the meantime, he was going around killing people all over the place. Anyway, he took this poor girl, Samantha, from a coffee shop where she was working. You know, she was just about to finish her shift. Her dad was due to arrive any minute to pick her up. I think it was her dad. It might have been a boyfriend. And this Israel Keys went in there, ordered a coffee, jumped in, kidnapped her, took her off in the night, took her off to his house, put her in the shed. Then he went into his partner and his little girl, and I don't know, had a normal evening. When they went to bed, he got himself a bottle of wine and went into the shed where he had this poor terrified girl. He RAP'd her, he murdered her, and he left her body in this shed while he went on a cruise the next day with his girlfriend and his daughter. Off they went on a cruise. Got pictures of him on the cruise with, I think they went to Hawaii. You know, he's got those flowers around his neck. He's having a great time. In the meantime, Samantha is in the shed, deceased. Everyone's looking for her. Appeals are going out for her. And Israel Keys, he's having a jolly up on the cruise ship with his partner and his daughter. When he comes back a week later, he then abuses poor Samantha again, even though she's deceased and frozen. And then he decides he's going to put a ransom, he's going to put a ransom note to her family. He extorted money from her family, and he made her look like she was alive by sewing her eyes open, getting a newspaper and making it look like she was holding a newspaper from the day that he released the ransom note. So even before AI, twonks were, making false claims to families, and he was successful. He got the money, but of course, Samantha was already dead. And he was caught in the end because he killed other people as well. There are videos on my channel about him. If you key into my channel, Israel Keys, it will come up. There's a 2-part video about him. He was killing people all over the place. And he was caught by a traffic stop. It's funny, isn't it? Quite often happens, doesn't it? Because he was completely under the radar. He was stopped in a traffic stop because there was something wrong with his vehicle. And a good police, these policemen, I hope he got some sort of commendation or whatever for catching this guy. Just noticed that he had fake IDs and stuff like that, or there's something wrong with his number plates. And so he was arrested. And he did give up Samantha's body. Do you know what he'd done with her? He had dismembered her, and he had gone fishing on the ice in Alaska. And under it, because when people go fishing in these frozen lakes, so they cut a circle out of the ice, put a tent over, and fish, in these circles that they've cut out. So he went out as if he was doing that, but with him he had poor Samantha's dismembered body, and he put her under the ice. Now, she would never have been found, except luckily he was caught, and this was part of the deal that the police made with him. Well, he wanted the death penalty instantly, because you know what, he didn't want to face his partner and his child, because these people, they're always cowards, really, aren't they? He didn't want them to know, or he didn't want to see them with them knowing what a monster he was. So he wanted instant death penalty. and he wanted it to be kept from his daughter and that. Anyway, and so part of the deal to try and sort of so that they could find Samantha's body. The police made he gave up Samantha's body as part of to show that see if he could get this deal. Anyway, didn't get the deal, as you can imagine. And so he actually deleted himself with a ballpoint pen, of all things. You know, he deleted himself in prison. While he was in prison, his last kill was himself. He left a very cryptic drawing of a certain number of skulls. So we think, or the police think, that was a number of victims he had. They haven't found all his victims. But going back to the AI thing, so even before AI, he manufactured a photo to send to Samantha's parents, even though she was already dead. He did it before her. So the thing is, these twonks, you can never underestimate what they can do with AI or anything else. But what this guy's saying is just making me wonder. I wonder if they did receive some sort of an AI video or something that they just weren't convinced about, and that's why they issued that first appeal.
Catherine Patterson. So in regards to a timeline on that ransom note, is that being an impact in your investigation? Are we nearing that timeline?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So in regards to the timeline in the ransom note, are we nearing that timeline? And is that playing a part in the investigation?
We're not going to go again into specifics of that part of the investigation with the ransom note, other than what we've put out there. We've been transparent. We're talking about we are working that ransom demand, but we don't want to go anything further than that could impact any opportunities. So, thank you.
Is there any additional physical evidence at the crime scene other than the tech you guys are using for this timeline? Is there anything else that's helping you guys other than really the technology?
Well, I think I said on day one is that it's technology that's going to really help us solve this case. But no, I mean, you know, we did do a process of that scene for biological evidence. So we're still hopeful that maybe something will show up there as well.
Arizona Republic, Richard Relas.
Agent Yankee, we saw on the scene, I believe it was you, taking a tripod into the home of the sister. How involved was the FBI, if at all, in creating the video? Any advice for the family on what to say in the video?
I would say we use our expertise and provide consultation and advice anytime a family would ask for our advice in a kidnapping. It's ultimately the family's decision of what they put out and any messages they put out. But we were, obviously, you're all documenting every move we make. We were there last night in talking with the family, but every decision is theirs.
Right, that was a tripod and a ring light. And Sheriff Nanos, you said the blood was found on the porch and on the front stoop. Just wanted to verify that.
I say porch, front stoop. It's all in that same general area by the front door.
Front of the house.
Front door, yes.
What, given her medical condition and the fact that it was her blood, as you say, what would her medical condition do with her recovery if she indeed bled out or was bleeding when she left the house?
Well, again, I've got to be careful for HIPAA, but I would say this. We know she is in need of medication, daily medication. And we also know that this is day 4 or 5 and still we don't know that she's getting her medication. That could in itself prove fatal.
And for the
That'll be
for
that
the room to
question.
serve
For
your name?
Pega News, we
Agent
have Craig
Edwards?
Smith or
I'll do
Athena.
that. I'll do that for you. I'll do that.
Craig?
Kagan, Athena, Craig left.
Okay.
Have you been in communication with anyone who you believe could be the kidnapper?
I just want to say about the blood. There wasn't enough blood there that, you know, it was a small amount of blood in a way. Like it wasn't the blood that, I mean, she couldn't live without all that blood. And also, Nancy might have been on blood thinners. And when you're on blood thinners, you do bleed very easily, you know, even from the smallest nick or scrape or whatever, a lot of blood, you know, because your blood is thinner. I know that for a fact because I've been on blood thinners occasionally through the summer, go out to help your circulation. And And yeah, if you get like a little cut, there's all this blood. You're like, oh my God, you know. And I know other people that. So yeah, it could be just. It could have just been. It might not have been anything mega. You know, it's not enough blood, as I say, to mean that Nancy would be dead without that blood. And also, if she was on blood thinners because she's got heart issues, it's a possibility if she was on warfarin or something like that, isn't it, that she would bleed quite easily.
You know, it goes back to what we talked about. Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy, we know, or our gal. We just don't know that. And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim. It just, I bring to you, to the media.
Yeah, so again, what he's saying there is everyone's a suspect, but nobody's a, you know, a prime suspect. And then later on, he said the family were cleared from early on. So yeah, another conflicting statement.
I plead with you to be careful of what it is we put out there, because we don't have.
Oh, sorry, it's buffering.
Have anybody here listed as a suspect, and you could actually be doing some damage to the case, but you can do some damage to that individual too. Social media is kind of an ugly world sometimes.
And how far out have you expanded your search, you say?
You know, I would tell you this, look, nothing's off the table. If we get a lead that there's somebody, hey, you've got this over here or over here, we're going, and that will expand and expand and expand. I think the FBI, with their billboards, they're now planning to put those up at every state around here, at all of our neighboring states. So, yeah, we use you, the national media, the FBI with their national outreach, to affect that for us. But as far as the actual investigation, naturally the home, the scene is the primary, and we just keep spreading it out as we get more and more leads.
Sport TV, Cody Thomas.
Right here, Sheriff. Actually, my question is for Agent Yonke. You know, we saw Savannah Guthrie and her sibling family put out that video last night on Instagram addressing, you know, the tragedy that this is, but also addressing the ransom letter saying they're ready to talk. My question is, did the FBI or any other agency help them craft that message to put out on social media?
Like I said to the previous question, we have an expertise when it comes to kidnappings. And when families want advice, consultation, expertise, we will provide that. But make a decision on what they say and how to put out with the family itself.
And as far as suspects, I know we haven't identified one, but what type of suspect or suspects do we think we're dealing with here?
At this time, like the sheriff has said, there is no primary suspect identified, so it could run the gamut. So.
KPNX, Troy Hayden.
Are you actively investigating the son-in-law in this case? There were reports earlier this week that you refuted that. You said you haven't eliminated everybody. Have you eliminated him or come close to it, or are you actively looking at him?
We're actively looking at everybody we come across in this case. Everybody. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody. The Uber driver, or the gardener, the pool person.
So again, so that reporter has specifically asked him about the son-in-law, and he's still not clearing him. But later on, he said the family had all been cleared from right at the beginning. You know, he does tell little porkies, this sheriff. And in answer to your question, Melanie, as far as I know, Tommaso and Annie are in Arizona. Tommaso is teaching. He's still teaching, and the parents of the children that he teaches have come out in support of him. So that's, as far as I know there's been a lot of wild rumours that he went to the Winter Olympics in Italy because he's Italian. Do you know, just sometimes you just think, oh my God. But, you know, yeah, as far as I know, Tommaso is teaching as normal in the school where he teaches, and the parents of the children that he teaches have come out in support of him. So I presume if Tommaso is there, then Annie will be there too. Well, Savannah is there. They're all there in that area. Don't know where they are. They're probably staying in a hotel or something.
So whoever, everybody, it's so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's just how we look at things and think as cops. Does that mean we have a prime suspect? No, and the family has been very cooperative. They've done everything we've asked of them, and we want that relationship to continue. And sometimes people can be mean out there, and that can really harm us and harm our efforts.
Did you find blood anywhere else in the home besides the porch?
The only DNA evidence we've got back is on the porch. We put out to a lab to run.
So now he's saying the only DNA evidence we've got was on the porch. Look at that guy behind him, his face. But I thought they had DNA in the bedroom. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you just can't believe what this guy says. Now, the thing is about Tommaso, I feel sorry for him because he is, he has had a lot of shade cast on him. I mean, but you can understand why at the end of the day, whoever is the last person to see someone, they're always going to be the prime suspect, be it the son-in-law, be it the partner, be it the mother, the father, or whoever. The last person that sees somebody alive when that person disappears in mysterious circumstances are always going to be the first, person that people look at. That is just, the way it is. Now, Tommaso, of course, as well, I think because he's Italian, I think he's like the foreign suspect for a lot. A lot of people like to blame the foreigner, don't they? And the other reason, of course, is, cases like this, normally the answer lies within a family. And it makes sense. The problem is trying to make sense of this case. If it makes more sense to think, there is someone in the family. Because the other alternative, that some random guy just came in a balaclava and, plucked Nancy from a bed for no reason that we can see. So people can't make the logic out of that. So they still keep sticking with Tommaso, even though Sheriff Nano has supposedly said it's nothing to do with him. People still sticking with it a little bit because that's he's still the obvious suspect. It's a shame for him because it's awful. And when they catch whoever did it and he's completely cleared, I don't think he'll be completely cleared till then, not in the public's eye. I just don't think he will.
And even then, it's 2, 3, 4 days. The other items could take 10 days, 20 days, but we saw the importance of that blood. It came back to Nancy.
So it was only there, it wasn't anywhere else in the house?
I don't know that. We processed the house for biological evidence, and we've not gotten anything back.
Newsmax, Sarah Williamson.
Hi there.
How can he say? He says, was that the only blood on the porch? And he said, I don't know that. How can he not know that? This is a week on. Of course he should know what other blood is in the house, if there's any other blood in the house. How can he say, I don't know that? This is what I mean. He doesn't inspire with confidence, this guy. I'm glad we're looking back over these press conferences, because now I'm reminded as to why I've got no confidence in him. It's not for no reason.
Just piggybacking off our colleagues here about how far this search has gone. When it comes to doorbell cameras, you say technology plays a critical role in this. Have you been actively door knocking the neighbours and businesses and collecting cameras? And is there anything that has come up there? And how far is that?
I can't tell you whether things have come up or not, but we have door to door. I think we're in other neighborhoods. Just as we come in and take us somewhere, we're going to do those things.
Okay, and just to follow up as well in regards to the video that was released by Nancy Guthrie's children last night, just to clarify, that was not coordinated with any law enforcement beforehand, and that you hadn't seen that video before it was released.
The FBI is handling all things with the ransom.
I think the answer was yes, we were there. The media was there. We can help coordinate, provide that consultation, but that is the family's decision of what they film and what they put out.
Box 10, Justin Loon.
Agent Yonke, this one's for you. Following up on that video that was released yesterday, you said, ultimately any further action is decided on by the family. Since then, have they expressed any more interest in more efforts to try and get in contact with who is behind the ransom letter? And do you have a crisis or any sort of hostage negotiator with your team for that type of situation if it moves forward?
So the two parts to that question I think it's pretty clear. The family wants to be contacted. They know time is of the essence. And if those that may have Nancy are watching this, the family is ready to talk, get proof of life, because there has been no contact after that ransom note went to the media. For your second question, yes, we have crisis negotiators. That is part of our team here locally, along with the personnel we brought in from Quantico, and they will be part of it. But we're not going to go beyond that of any specifics.
Sheriff Nanos, taking down the crime scene perimeter after Monday's investigation and really opening access to that property to everyone else, was that something you would do differently looking back, knowing that federal authorities also conducted a search yesterday? Would you have kept that perimeter up, knowing that?
Monday morning quarterback, I probably would have, but I'll say this. We processed the scene. We got what we thought was complete. My team did that. I have to have all the faith and trust in their abilities and their skills, and I think they went through that pretty well. But because another agency now steps in and wants to assist, we're just like with you, we're an open book. We process a scene and we're done. We return that scene to in this case, the homeowners, the family.
It's not being a Monday morning quarterback to know that you seal off a crime scene, you don't open it back up again until the case is solved or whatever. They've been back to that bloody crime scene. You talk about I'll be back. It's like the bloody Terminator. They have to keep going back to it because they didn't get everything the first time.
Family. And we don't just go march back in there. We call the family again and get permissions to go back to the home. So yeah, there's again, Monday morning quarterback probably could have held off on that. We knew that they felt like they could be of help in this with particularly the forensic analysis we use in a number of things. But we, at the start,
see, again, he's telling lies. So he's saying, oh, well, when we realised there might be more to it, right from the first press conference, the one we watched that they did on the following day that she went missing, he said they could see a crime had taken place. He says, we thought it was a search and rescue. He said from day one, from the word go, this was a crime. So it's not being a Monday morning quarterback to do your job properly. He can talk around it. He can give all this word salad around it. But they did that. Why doesn't he just say we should have? I don't know. But he should know that by now. I'm not even I don't know about crime scenes and things like that. But one thing I do know from following true crime for years, if you don't secure the crime scene, it's a big mistake.
Over to a criminal investigation. With that, brought in our partners from the FBI and others.
Have you heard from President Trump on the resources?
We got that message yesterday.
Are you next?
Kelly, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Univision. Following up on that, we saw the message from the president yesterday. Have you personally received any communication from him?
Oh, no, and I would, that, he too is a busy man, right? I thank him, pretty, and we know, I know my local reporters here know. We've always worked well with all of our partners in law enforcement. Maybe it's, we've done this. Gabby Giffords, I headed up that investigation.
Preserving a crime scene is new, but this isn't.
We worked side by side. Could not have got things done if we weren't with the FBI on that.
And just the other question, this being a border state, have you guys had any communication with Mexican authorities?
I have not. I work closely with the Mexican consulate as other consulates, being the sheriff, but no, I have not heard from them.
Arizona Univision Madrid.
Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked the local pharmacies and pharmacies around the state where they bought or say this medication to keep her alive, to keep her healthy, while still look for her?
So we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back. Maybe we contacted her more.
Saturday night,
continuous every hour, going back out and
hang on.
physically in person.
He said it again. He said it again. Saturday night, Sunday morning. He said it again.
Arizona Univision Madrid.
Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked the local pharmacies and pharmacies
Clip
around the
that.
state where they bought or say this medication to keep her alive, to keep her healthy, while still look for her?
So we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back to just make sure that they didn't. Maybe we contacted them early on. I know that night, Sunday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning.
He's corrected himself. He said Sunday night and then he corrected himself and said Saturday night. That's twice now he said Saturday night. Very strange. So he actually said Sunday, then he stopped and he said, oh no, Saturday night, Sunday morning. So that's twice in this press conference he said Saturday night.
I know we were doing all the hospital checks, and that check was continuous every hour, going back out. And physically in person, deputies were going to each local area hospital and asking her logs.
Oh. The question here is, I know you're looking for her in County. Are you looking for her across the state now? And if so, if there's a particular area that you're focusing on right now?
Well, we're looking for her everywhere, right? The FBI just made an arrest on a tip that we got that we thought there could be something here. Yeah, it's statewide. Be out there across the street. Take the leads from everywhere, and where those leads take us.
MS now,
Agent Yankee, do you have any reason to believe that Nancy Guthrie may be being held outside of the country? Is that something that you ruled out at this point?
We don't have any of that information. We haven't ruled anything out. Like the sheriff said, we will follow the facts wherever they take us, whether it is outside of the state of Arizona or over the border. We will follow the facts and go there. But we have no indication anything over the Mexican border.
And you mentioned on the ransom note there were details about the Apple light that were sent out to TMZ, KGUN, and KOLED details in each of those individual ransom notes?
The ones that I am tracking and aware of were the same that went to TMZ also.
News Nation, Brian Entin.
Agent Yankee, sorry, over here.
Yes.
When did the first ransom note arrive? And the reason I ask is because the Apple Watch has been in the news and on social media, and you can see like floodlights in the world.
I don't have the specific time frame as I sit here today of what time it came in, but that you are right. One could see a floodlight hanging down, could have seen some of those things. The watch has been talked about, so that timing is tricky, but that's why we're taking it serious no matter what. First note came in as I sit here today. Thank you.
And my follow-up is for the sheriff. In the house, were there any signs that someone tried to clean up or maybe destroy evidence?
I can't talk about the crime scene. So I'll give you another shot. Another question.
My other question is I heard the agents say that it was a joint investigation. The FBI said that both agencies in charge now?
Look, there's no ego here. We in this
No
country,
ego.
we'll take anybody's help. It's not about who's in charge. From day one, when we contacted the FBI, they were that gracious to say, whatever you need. And so that's really it. And they are just as my local enforcement ask. That's what's really, I haven't had called me.
Arizona's family, Brianna Whitney.
Sure.
So literally within a minute there, first of all, he said when he called the FBI, they were like that. And then he said, oh, I haven't even had to call anybody.
I know you had the crime scene process. You said you went back out there. Your partners wanted to see it. But you guys were actively taking out evidence yesterday. Was there something you missed the first time? Or did you get a new piece of information that led you to believe you needed to go back out and take more than you had that first day?
You know, I know that we get information that will come, and this is just any crime scene that we're looking at. We may go out to a crime scene and think we've got it all, go analyze the evidence, and something comes back and says, hey, did you check this? We're not going to just say, oops, and not go.
So does that
Absolutely.
mean you come in?
In this instance, it really was the FBI just wanted to go, hey, can we take a look at it?
Are you worried about that being contaminated at all because there was people in that?
You know, I'll let the courts worry about that. We will certainly be open to the courts of anything that's been removed from that house, and we follow the rules of laws. We get court orders and go back and reapply.
Now, I've got to go in a minute, but let's leave it fast. But there's still another 10 minutes to go on this.
Director Patel is being briefed several times a day on this investigation back in DC. He does have a trip scheduled to Tucson that was pre-scheduled.
Yeah, Patel went, didn't he? The head of the FBI, and that's when that SWAT team went out. I think, do you think it was just they just wanted to show that they were doing something?
For this, but he is receiving consistent and constant updates from our team here.
He's coming today?
He is not coming today.
Get out into the community. That's not the only part
I've
of
got to
Tucson that
stop
is
there
that one.
because I've got to go, unfortunately, because it's been really interesting looking over that. So twice Sheriff Nanos talked about Saturday night. Once he even said Sunday night first and then corrected himself and said Saturday night, Sunday morning. Why does he keep saying Saturday night? Or is he just that mixed up in his head? I don't know. But yeah, very interesting watching his press conferences from the beginning because, you know, seeing what was said right at the beginning, because you forget, don't you? You can't remember everything. Anyway, I've got to go. I'll be back with any more information. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you really soon, video. And until then, may your God go with you. I'm praying for Nancy. Bye.